Today we're looking at a brand new USB microphone. We're looking at Dark Matter's Sentry streaming mic, a mic that has earned its name because when you look at it on the stand, it looks very much like one of those Sentry robots of, I don't know, pick your video game. Donkey Kong, is that one? In the box, you're going to get the microphone, the stand, a screw to attach the stand to the microphone, a USB-C cable, and the instructions. Now, looking at the mic, it is solidly built. It's quite heavy. This sheath, for lack of a better term, nice solid metal. The whole grill and all the capsule around it, all metal as well. The knobs feel okay. They're nothing special. I like those clicky knobs. No, not enough people do those. They do click in, or at least the gain clicks in for muting. We'll get into that shortly. And then underneath the gain, you have your headphone volume. And right here, you have your headphone jack for latency-free listening. On the top, you can see your polar patterns and the big mode button in the middle. As you hit the button, what's really cool, it actually lights up what directions you'll be able to hear the microphone from so that you know how to properly place it if you're using anything other than the cardioid. On the bottom, you got a big hole. That's obviously for connecting this to either a mic arm or to the stand. If you're going to put this on a mic arm, you are going to need an adapter of some kind. Thankfully, got one. You got your USB port on the back of the bottom here, and that's going to be really important because if you do mount this on an arm, you're going to have to be very careful about how you place it so that it doesn't get in the way. And then this little button here is to change the color that's going to actually be coming up from the sheath. Again, lack of a better word, but we'll see that once we're all plugged in. So why waste time? Let's get it done now. Okay, so we're all hooked up here. You can see how the light comes out just subtly from here, and I actually really like that a lot. It's just a hint of color, not too much. You can actually see from up here that I'm also in cardioid mode, which is kind of a nice thing. I kind of wish that it wasn't something that everybody could see on the microphone, but I guess how you orient it in your setup is actually going to make the difference whether you're going to see it or not. So I was playing around with the mic gain on this, and it doesn't seem to do a whole heck of a lot. Like if I turn it all the way up, so now this is where we're at when I'm turned all the way up, and if I turn it all the way down, this is what it sounds like when it's turned all the way down. So I mean, it does affect it somewhat, but it doesn't actually take it all the way to nothing and then up to the max. So while it's definitely doing something, there's only maybe about a 30 dB difference between the very top and the very bottom, and it doesn't go all the way down to nothing. If you wanted to go down to nothing, of course, you could always mute it just by pressing this in. I am noticing that the button's sticking a little bit. I'm noticing a little delay when it pops back out. I don't know if that's just my microphone or not. It's not a gigantic deal. I mean, it did pop right back out. It was just like a little bit, so I don't know if it's just sticking for some reason. One thing that I do like about the design of this microphone, though, none of the ports or jacks are on the back, so you don't have cables jutting out of the back of it. That's been a complaint of mine of some microphones in the past. The only cable you can really see is the headphone one right here, but again, depending on how you actually have everything set up, you wouldn't see that either, so it's really nice and clean. All right, there's nothing else to it. Let's do those usual test phrases, then we can listen to the raw audio. The small pup gnawed a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. All right, I'm going to go give that a listen and we'll be right back with you. Okay, so I had a chance to listen to it and it sounded really good. Very natural voice. It didn't do a whole lot of boosting in terms of any bass or any presence or anything like that. I just sound like me, and that's not a bad thing. And if nothing else, it gives you a really good level bass to work with if you're going to do any EQ or anything like that. So if you want to raise the low frequencies just a little bit, you can raise them just a little bit without something already having been done. This one's pretty good on the ambient noise. There is some, not a ton, easily removed if you want to use any VSTs to do that. There's different noise reduction ones or high pass filters. Anything like that will really help kind of knock that down for you. And of course, if you're making sure that you're using the right polar pattern, because you're going to get a whole heck of a lot more if you're using any of the other ones, just to show you as an example. So quiet for a second for cardioid. This is bidirectional. Bidirectional that way. And omnidirectional. So now what I want to do is I want to take that test again and we're going to put it through some processing. We're going to use OBS's processing and we're also going to do some processing in post. I'm using DaVinci Resolve for that. So let's go back and hear what those sound like. The small pup gnawed a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. The small pup gnawed a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. The small pup gnawed a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. So not too shabby at all. Really easy, like I said, to clean up the noise just a little bit. It brighten your voice a little bit, raising those low frequencies just a teensy, just like 2-3 decibels, and doing around the same with the low frequency. But what is absolutely amazing about this microphone, given its quality and its overall look and design, is the price. I would have guessed at least double that. I maybe would have thought around the 75 mark if this was all plastic, but this is a nice metal. And the only real knock against it, which isn't necessarily a knock if it's not something you want, but it's the fact that it doesn't have any kind of software. The software solution thing is absolutely a gigantic game changer now for so many microphones. So obviously access to something like that is really big. Now, given the fact that this is a $65 microphone, you're not going to expect something like that. You can still hook this one into software if you already have one of the microphones. So if, for example, you have the Rode NT1 5th generation or the Rode X microphones, you have access to Unify for free. You can pay for it and then add it there if you wanted. Or if you already have an Elgato Wave 1 or Wave 3, you'd be able to hook into the Wavelength software using this. But it is a wonderfully serviceable and super affordable plug-and-play USB microphone. I will put a link down to it below. It will be an affiliate link if you want to get this microphone. It does help the channel if you use my link. But what do you think about this microphone? How does it sound to you? How does it look to you? And is the price right? Let me know down in the comments, and while you're scrolling down there, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you know when I have new videos coming out. And while I've got you here, let's take a look at a couple of other favorite USB microphones that are plug-and-play only. And until next time, gang, let's get to work.